Yeah, well, another one, guys. It's a little after. It's about 8:47 in the morning, West Coast time. Still the 26th of June, 2026. This past several days, within the past several days in the state of Texas, several people have gotten arrested for being terrorists, Antifas, and jailed between 50 to 100 years in prison. Last year, President Dum Dum signed executive orders regarding this stuff. He's making it a way of telling people any way of protesting the United States government in these executive orders is against his law, not the Constitution. I need to remind folks why fighting for the Constitution is so damn important. And unfortunately, we got Trump that doesn't give a flying fuck about it. I'm going over to the constitutioncenter.org to go over the Bill of Rights that we have of it. And the link I've got is the full text of it. I'm simply going to hit the Constitution, and I want to get into the amendment part. The Bill of Rights were the first 10 amendments of the U.S. Constitution. It was ratified in December 15th of 1791. And the First Amendment said, title of it, freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, petition. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion. Well, we already got that fucked up, didn't we? Or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people, peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Basically, you can't do this shit, Trump. It's against the Constitution. And unfortunately, the son of a bitch twice, 2016 and 2024, swore an oath to the Constitution and lied about it. Lied about it. Already he's got misdemeanors for the 25th Amendment. The problem is the mechanisms to put this guy under arrest had already been taken over by this asshole. Even if we happen to do the 25th Amendment on the asshole, the only force is the force of God knocking his ass out. I'm going to put on MSNBC right now. Something about
Jake. To voters, I want you to take a close listen to this.
I think that his historical legacy is enjoying a bit of a renaissance, but I think deservedly so. As I joked with Robert backstage, if Watergate happened tomorrow, it would be like a 12-hour news story. Like, the idea that it would have taken down a presidency is crazy. And by the way, if you look at the story of how the deep state took down Richard Nixon, it's not all that different from what the same groups of people, the same institutions tried to do to Donald Trump in the first Trump administration. There is a parallel.
So that was the Vice President of the United States openly drawing parallels between President Trump and former President Nixon, who was forced to leave office ahead of certain impeachment due to his actions. Let's bring in senior writer for the Dispatch, David Drucker. He's an MS Now contributor. What a message there, David. Basically we're doing 10 Watergates a day.
Sorry.
And that's a good thing.
You know, when, I don't know if you've been to the Nixon Library in Southern California, but what's really interesting about the library, just as a quick aside here, is that they deal very openly and forthrightly with Watergate. They don't hide it in the back of some corner of the library. You walk in, you start the tour, and there's this whole section there. And I think it was a really brilliant move because then it allows you to appreciate some of the things that Richard Nixon did. The alliance with China to counter the Soviet Union that were innovative and very, very important to American foreign policy and deserve to be looked at in a very positive light. When I first heard, Antonio, when I first heard the Vice President's comments on Watergate would only be a blip in today's news cycle, you know, my first reaction was, well, yeah, because look at how things are today. You can have massive scandals on Capitol Hill, coming out of the White House, and people just don't have the same level of disgust for it. It doesn't dominate the media environment the way Watergate did. But to me, it wasn't a whitewashing of Watergate because I didn't have any more context for the comments. It was just a sort of knock on the media environment and where American voters are today. As we all know, Watergate was a major scandal. The president resigned because members of his own party in Congress said it's either this or impeachment and removal. And President Nixon, both for selfish reasons, but also because he didn't want to put the country through that, resigned. And I don't think there's really anything more to it than that. And if you deal with that, then you can talk about all of the things Richard Nixon did that again, a lot of people remember very fondly. Ideologically, he's very similar. Him and Donald Trump are very similar. And, from the perspective of some scandal, also very similar.
The thing about J.D. Vance right now is that, frankly, just watching him these last few weeks in terms of his message to the public, it has been confusing, whether it is this Watergate stuff and the Nixon comparison, whether it is, I'm the guy who didn't really want to go to war, but I'm also now the chief explainer of the war, and I say things, and the Iranians immediately say that the things I just said are not true, or it's sort of all of this in the midst of a book tour about his faith and some of the hypocrisies and challenges that come within that storytelling as well. And so I'm wondering how you see him right now as a political figure and the kind of tightrope that he keeps walking through all these different issues and the way in which, at least at times, the message of who he is and what he believes is getting confusing.
Yeah, well, look, I thought his comparison, number one, of Trump and Nixon was convenient, right? It was a way to sort of whitewash all of the scandals and a lot of the things that President Trump has done that really bother a lot of voters, and it deserved to be viewed as scandalous. The other part of it is just when you're the Vice President of the United States, if you just strip away for a minute everything that he says that may be problematic or that people don't like, and, of course, there are many Republicans who do like it, it's a hard road to navigate because you can't oppose your boss, and yet you're trying to establish your own identity and political platform, and I think that's one of the things he's trying to do.
David Drucker, thank you as always, and thanks to all of you at home for spending the hour.
So that was a side note concerning about J.D. Vance, the inheritor of the throne of Trump. If it will be indeed that way. The bitch of it is, we've got national security advisements out there against being Antifa. We got executive orders from last year to this year telling people not to be like Antifa, otherwise you get busted. Which means you go against Trump. But if you happen to follow the U.S. Constitution, Trump is against the Constitution. But Congress feels like they're inept. They cannot go against Trump because they don't have the backing of the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice, once that was established as Trump territory, you're seeing why I'm hesitating on a lot of stuff to say at this point. And the other independents out there are having conniption fits over this thing because they said they've warned. They were yelling. They felt like they were a canary in a collapsing coal mine. Canaries weren't singing about the damn gas being overloaded. No, they were singing about they wanted to get the hell out of a collapsing coal mine before they get crushed to death. And the coal mine is what we're all stuck with because we made this damn thing rickety as hell. When we voted Trump in, we started making this coal mine worse than it was. And then he comes in secondly, tearing out damn supports, directly and indirectly. The birds are not chirping because of gas. The birds are chirping at us and they want to get the hell out of Dodge and can't and trapped. And that's us birds right now as it is. We did this to ourselves, guys. And Trump's laughing his ass off as he's outside, indulging himself on the torment he's created with the United States and everybody else. We put in and we installed this Frankenstein. Is Congress going to have majority enough? Actually, is the Democrats going to have majority enough to make the official? But the problem is that the Department of Justice is still screwed up by Trump, contaminated by him. Will there be good enough people to stand up to this asshole? If they are, they're going to be looking at prison terms right now because of the court systems. You would happen to get it appealed up to the Supreme Court. Will the appellate at least look graciously upon those in Texas and those who have fallen Trump's executive orders of what's considered Antifa, what's considered anti-American? I'll give you a little bit of a hint on this one. National security on this one. There was an article made that I found. And it's called NSPM-7. I'm getting a PDF files because I keep these damn things. I may be considered a terrorist. National Security Directive. This damn thing's a pain in the ass. Memorandum 7, huh? Memorandum 7. Using this to go against people left and right. Telling people that you have very little to be part of something about Trump. I mean, Trump's I had seen a video interview when an author of a book and another media outlet was talking about Trump. Trump's not afraid of the American people. If he holds the Department of Justice in his hands, including judges, and enforcers. This is what he's got against America, that he can use against America a great deal. What they would consider as anti-American, to go back to that one is going back to the memorandum. Letter dated September 25th, 2025. Letter sent to the Secretary of State, Treasury, Attorney General, Homeland Security. There's a 6-page listing of this letter. What I'm looking for is the listing of what he considers anti-American, so he can go after you. I did say you. Because he's an asshole. Somewhere in the stuff I'm still PDFing right now, I am trying to get the information and listing of what he says that goes against him. Not America, but him. Of course, he says it against America, but he thinks America is him. He celebrated rallies. Celebrated at a major rally quite recently. Not about America, but about him. He is America, therefore America is him. He was saying something like that. Founding fathers had enough with the tyrant. They weren't represented in the House of Commons or the House of Lords. They were taxed, brutalized, made as third class, not second class. Basically slaves to them. How is it that you could be slaves to this? I wanted to find out what he considered was anti-American. What does Trump consider anti-American? What's against him? Anti-Americanism on Wikipedia. It's anti-American sentiment, according to them. But what about according to Trump? He made a listing of these things, and I'm still trying to locate it. Let me put you on pause.